Okay.
All right. So, Shika, I had no idea who you were. And, but I kept getting this little ping, and I knew someone that knew you, and I kept getting your little thing about your self-portrait workshop. And I was like, this looks really interesting. This looks really fascinating. But I'm already pretty good with the camera. I'm already pretty good on screen. And I don't know. I just kept. And so the night before, like it was a Friday night, I think your class was starting on Saturday. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to say yes. I'm just going to go in.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I was like, what? I had no idea. Like, I wasn't paying attention to the thoughts in my head when I was taking the pictures, or all the things I would delete, or all the things I wouldn't share, and even the parts of me that I was like, nah, I won't go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you pretty much blew me away with the class, and boom, I mean, it just really exploded from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I myself don't know how I've come here, and I keep saying that very honestly. I just know that all of 18, I got into photography, and I'm 42, and I've just been collecting clues all this while, is what I realized. And then, just like you wanted to join, I wanted to do this workshop. Many people have told me change it to a selfie, call it a selfie workshop, but I somehow am unable to do that. I'm like, let it take its time. Let my son take the legacy ahead and make it very famous. It doesn't matter how famous it gets, but self portrait is what I want to stick to and bring forward. And the reason why is because portrait is a very serious word. It's about you. It's about the character you are. How do you
Mm.
feel? What's the story? Selfie doesn't do just that. Word doesn't just do justice to the whole thing of what is it. It just doesn't do. I can say, oh, I teach selfies, and it just doesn't work. I mean, I say I teach self portraits. I'm like, wow, like that's what I actually teach.
Well, it
And
it sounds so much more elegant, because when you think of a selfie, you think of like all
yeah,
these like silly
yes,
poses that people do
yes,
that are kind of fake in a way, right? Because they're not really thought out at all. They're just like, well, let me get the best one and delete, or put a filter
yes.
on, or whatever. What you're doing is so much. I mean, what you're doing is really like this divine thing.
Mm,
And I think that I couldn't really understand I didn't have any idea really what a self portrait was,
yeah.
especially in the way that you're defining it.
I just think it was always like that, Rosie. Self portrait has been done by painters to express themselves, and it's just it was supposed to be expressing yourself like that. And we've reached to the era where social media is also our expression, right? We're expressing ourselves. What do we do? How do we conduct ourselves? Who are the kind of people we want to meet? We're doing that all the time on social media, but somehow this whole picture business, we've taken it, rather than a blessing, we've gone and made it a curse, that we must do it, we have to do it, and it has to be right, and it has to be perfect, and if it's not, then we are the bad people and we are not good enough. And that's how, this whole chatter is making us feel so heavy footed walking on this beautiful planet. and uh,
Mm.
so and it for me as well, I'm just becoming more and more and more sure of who I am the more I have done this, and it's taken me a few years to drop. The dropping part is the most important thing here, more than really learning, because that comes when you start shining. It just comes. You've seen it again and again. There's a new batch going from the day one to
Oh
where they
my God!
at the
I
time.
mean, oh, yeah. And this is the thing. This is the other thing. It's just not your self portrait though, because you're in a group with women, and a small group, beautiful group, a safe group, and you're watching the progression, and when you see it in them, then you can reflect it back on yourself. That's
Yeah,
the beautiful gift that you can't get by yourself. That's why it's so valuable to be
yeah,
in there with you, because
yeah,
you're watching as they just come out, and you're like, wow. I mean, that's
yeah,
what I keep saying. Oh my God, wow. I keep saying, you should frame that goes on your wall.
yeah,
It's so incredible that
yeah.
people open up and let themselves be seen like that.
Yeah, and the freedom and the shoulder broadening and the smiles
Mhm.
and the appreciation for others and
Yeah.
really recognizing um, what it took me to come here, and now look at her, she's done it as well, and look at her, she's done it as well,
Yeah.
and doing it their way, without hesitation, showing up their way in the group first. And some of them are now tagging openly and really not caring about. And I keep saying this again, it's not about taking a lot of pictures, it's not about bombarding yourself. People have come, when I started this, people said, oh, it's all vanity, you're just obsessed about pictures, there's no
Mhm.
difference. When you actually go through this process, you realize that it's not about taking more pictures. It's about when you take the picture. Are
Yeah.
you free? Are you free when you take this picture? Are you
Mhm.
free? Are you free? Because when you bake a cake, it's an art form. Photography was always an art form. When you bake a cake, are you shrinking? No, you're not. You're just baking the cake happily. Then why are you shrinking using this art form? How did it become the policing on our head that it has to be a
Wow.
certain way? It was just to be. It was just meant to enjoy, to learn the light, to see yourself, to see
Wow.
the life going up and down and dancing and um, you know it's just all the changes that are happening are just messages from our body and nothing more than that.
Mm.
And just because we are not paying attention and we see it in a picture doesn't mean we are not enough, and that's what we are here for. But the fact that just curiosity, wow, how did I reach here? Okay, like this. Okay, can I change this? Oh, this part I definitely can't. I'm aging, I can't. Oh, there's a scar, I got burnt, I can't change it. Oh, what can I will change that. And what I cannot, let me embrace it and then add creativity and light to it. And then just like baking or learning music or learning a new art form, just get curious about creating more and more and more, and that's the only process, and that's what it was meant to be. It was never meant to be your I always call it the resistant sister who's going to sit in there. You're not good enough. You're just look at yourself, look at what you've done, don't even think, look at what the world, look at the other one
Mhm.
who's doing so well. So
Yeah,
yeah, it
like all that, I mean, that's the one thing I think that you've taught me is that judgment piece of like letting go of that. It's like, oh, the light could be better over here, but not judging me for, you
yeah.
know, and that's really just such a gift that you give everyone.
Yeah, and I just want to. I've recently. I've just messaged her again. I was in a summit talking about this, and I also heard another speaker who was right after me, and it's a very very beautiful story. But the effect of what can happen with self-image issues is there, and it started from the fact that somewhere she said that one of her parent had commented on how fat she is when she was almost 6, her stomach, and all her life she was squeezing in her stomach and walking like that, just with that one comment, so that she could be accepted, and she could be accepted by her parents just as perfect. Could And that's led to miscarriages for her unless she had to like really resolve things.
Oh my God.
And that's how heavy and cost it can give us. And what work you and me are trying to do is literally a medicine to release this tightness in our jaws. I've lost 4 molars thinking I'm not enough while raising my children.
Wow.
And I just couldn't understand. There's no cavity. Why am I losing my molars while raising my child? And till I met this beautiful speaker called. It happens to me. The message comes and I'm like, I'm just going and coming. And Dorothy McGrath, and she's written a book called Teeth Don't Lie. And and in her interview she was saying, and I interviewed her later, saying that the words that are not spoken get broken in your teeth. And then scientifically, I was tightening my jaw right here. And then that was loosening my teeth. And can you imagine? I woke up one day and I asked Rohit, my husband, that even, when Egyptian mummies are found after 10,000 years, even their teeth are intact. If we are meant to have our teeth intact, because from there they come to know how old the mummy is, that's how they come to know from the teeth age of the mummy. Can you imagine what a strong thing? It's like a bone, and we are losing it. Children are losing it today. The amount of jaw clenching or things that we are doing to
Wow.
ourselves, are the strongest part of our body is getting
Wow.
broken or damaged. And by the time, it's a funny thing that by the time we're 40, 45, 50, we're getting to dentures and it's acceptable. It's a very small thing, but all the self-portrait work has led me to that. And since then I started realizing why I felt so hard in my pictures. This part was very hard and I
Mm,
was clenching it because I wanted to speak up. I wanted to feel enough, and I wanted to do so many things. And
yeah.
that's why this
Oh,
process is
wow. And
very
that whole speaking up, because it's that part of us that, like, we're told to be silent, or we're told to like fix that or whatever, that we can show up on the camera because people will see. Right? But what you're showing us is that, like we're perfect just as we are, and we can, like, that's our voice, our enoughness showing up.
Yeah. And it stores in every part of our body. And we are in this process using the camera as a support to
Wow,
show
that's
us.
so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
So
just
Shika, this is just such, it's just so magnificent. um it's just unbelievable. And
it
so,
is.
so during your workshop, and I don't want to give a lot away about your workshop, because I would just encourage, I mean, I'm encouraging every single woman I meet, like when I'm looking at them and talking to them, like, I would love for you to do this. Like you would love this. This experience would just open you up so much. But for me, it was like you asked us to do something, and I was like, the first thing I was like, oh, that's the worst part. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after doing it, then I decided to look in the mirror, and I just took lipstick that was sitting right there, and I wrote the word enough on the mirror, and I looked in. No, I didn't fix my hair, didn't fix my makeup, nothing. I just snapped the picture. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to share this. And then when I shared it, everyone was like, whoa, because
Yeah, I remember.
everyone felt that word to mean something for them, because I think it's always what we always come back to,
Yeah.
no matter what we're doing. Is it going to be good enough? Am I good enough? Is this good enough? Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And there, like, I just knew it in my heart the minute I saw that picture, and I had expressed it even in the workshop. But you were still taking time, like, really, and now I just knew that that is what it is for you. I just knew it at that very moment. And I'm so glad that this enough project, the way you have taken it ahead, nobody better than you could have taken it. I'm just not, because of the fact in the belief of this whole word enough, the way you are showing up,
Yeah.
and and I'm really encouraging that the amount of love I've received in the creation of this thing that you've created, Rosie, it's unbelievable. And I've just, the very first day I said yes to you through and through, and I'm yes because I see and I learn from you about how much you feel that, one, it's enough that we are doing this for very long. We need to stop doing this to ourselves, and it's enough. And also how we are enough, and how
Yeah.
you said in that, and the creation of the whole thing itself has been fascinating to see. And it still gives me goosebumps with when you describe the card, which I'll give it to you, how you're doing this whole project. And it would be an honor for me to just just open this path, these invisible strings, whoever comes to the workshop, so that they can be part of this incredible project. And from there it'll pan out to generations. That I'm 100% sure. I'm not saying it because I have to say it, but it's just a knowing, as you keep saying, it's just a knowing that time has come and to rise.
Yeah.
Is so amazing.
Yeah, and it's so funny, because I didn't like have an intention behind that picture. It's just what I was feeling in the moment. And to your
Yeah.
point of, like, I'm just like, well, okay.
Yeah.
And the reaction, and then I'm like, wow, when I look back at, I didn't even tell you this part, but when I look back at some of my, because I had written a book before, so really a long story short, I'll give you a little sprinkle of it. I had written this book. It was called Sleeping Naked After 40, and my struggle with an eating disorder, and my weight and my body image and all of that, never being, good enough, and never being good enough to really promote that book. that book, so many people wanted to help me and support me with that book, and I could not do it because
I
I
love the
didn't
name. Yeah.
think it was good enough. And when I look back at my journals and everything, I'm always writing about that. And until
Mm.
that moment, until even all of this coming together, I realized, oh, well, that was my work all along. And this is just I'm now able to pull it all together because you showed up, the class showed up, like I'm showing up,
Yeah.
because of all of that. And so it's a beautiful experience, a beautiful project. And
It
yeah,
is. It is that, and just to collaborate with you on this, I'm just very excited to just see and hear and the things that you've added to the deck, and then just that going out as a gift to others.
yeah.
Sometimes just a word is good enough, a line is good enough, a picture is good enough to change people's whole perspective about where they're going. And
Yeah, and I believe that we all have the moment in our life. I mean, I have many of them where there would be one thing that someone said. I mean, we have those moments. We know one thing someone said is like, "Oh, you look fat," that we carry around forever.
yes,
And then there's those moments when someone says something and we're like, that stays with us forever too. And so if a person's participation in the card, either by their photo, their voice, their word, sparks one other woman to
oh,
even
it's what,
question, is this enough already for me? Or I am
yeah,
enough right now, whatever, to take you to the next, like just a little slide over that little shift. Like
yeah.
then we've done what we're here to do, is how I feel.
Oh, absolutely. It's worth it. And when you're talking about words, you know, as a kid, with whatever my history of my mother not being there, and I remember my dad introducing me to this artist friend of his, and I was all very young. I was like maybe 8, 9 years old, and and then she bent down and she said, "Oh my God, she's beautiful." I'm 42 years old. Even today, I exactly remember that place. And
Oh,
before that, even at 8, I never believed that I'm beautiful.
wow.
And because of my mother missing, though I had lots of mothers, all aunts, everybody taking care of me,
Mm,
I had 45 mothers. But even among them, I couldn't
yeah.
feel, because everybody was trying to make their best version. Like, okay, if she does this, if she wears this, if she does this,
Wow.
I was just like, and she just bent down and she says, "She's so beautiful."
Oh,
And I was just like, am
wow.
I even at the age of 8?
But
Like,
you
I have,
remember that. How
yeah,
many
I
years
was
later?
like,
That's what I mean. Just
yeah,
that moment. So we're creating one
yeah,
million magic moments
yeah,
because
yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
our goal is to reach 1 million women,
Yes,
and we're
yes,
starting with 100.
yes, 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 yes. It's going to be magical, and uh, a whole lot of people coming together, and it'll become like an echoing thing. I already know it'll echo in the mornings in people's homes and at office, and before they're going for this big pitching, they're just going
Well,
to open it up and
well,
get
okay. I and here's another little story, Shika, and you don't know this, or maybe you've heard me say it before, but when I was creating your card, and you were sending over like what were your words, and you said something about, do you hear the bird, and it was, I was reading it, do you hear the birds, they're singing your praises. And at that moment I was sitting by the window and the birds were singing, and I'm
yeah,
like, I said, how did at first I said, how does she know the birds are singing?
yeah,
And then I realized, oh, those are her words. But every single time, even last night when I was walking with Rich, I said, listen, honey, the birds are singing our
yeah,
praises, because I
yeah,
never, ever in my life thought of it like that until that moment that you said it. And there's another magic moment from the card itself, from this project, that I will never, that will, every single time I hear a bird, I think of that. It's singing to me. And I've
yeah,
been telling my grandson, and I've been telling him, listen, the birds are singing. They're talking
yeah,
about you. You're so amazing.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
that's already passed down to this beautiful little 4-year-old boy.
yeah, yeah, beautiful. And
So, I
I
mean,
just, yeah,
okay.
yeah, we can pass it on, and we have some incredible women already in the card who have just given their
So
wisdom,
beautiful.
you
All
know.
different voices, all different messages, all different ways. Like when I mean, it's really hard to even explain it until you actually feel it and you
Yeah,
actually have that, have it in your hand and you're listening. And
yeah,
then it's like, wow, some women don't ever hear someone else speaking nice to them. And so
yeah, yeah.
this is just going to be like incredible.
Yeah.
Oh,
And whenever people, if they see this whole replay, they're seeing it, we just trust us. We're not saying it just to say these things so that, it just sounds, oh, everything is going to be a me. It
yeah,
is incredible. It's just blowing our minds away totally when we're
right.
saying this because it's surprising us every time a new card is coming in, a new woman is joining in.
Every
She,
single,
it's
every
surprising
single,
her, it's
right,
surprising us. The
right.
ideas are getting out, things are getting added. And because both of us are yes to this project, just every single day we keep adding things, we keep creating things.
Yeah, yeah. And this is
And
definitely, a divinely guided project.
absolutely.
It's divinely led. It is really, and and because it feels also, I think to both of us so easy. It's like even when we're having a conversation, okay, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just because it's just been gifted down, and
Exactly.
we're the carriers of it, right? The
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
vessels for inviting you
Absolutely.
to be part of something
Yeah. And
beautiful.
just also very authentic, very real, very away from the AI world.
Oh,
And,
yes.
uh, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
it,
because right, it's in our humanity is so precious and we forget that because we're trying to change and fix things but we are so beautiful in our just own right, and that I think at this time was the perfect time for this experience, this project, because we need to remember our humanity. And,
exactly. And and just surrounded by enough as well, so much stuff that we're surrounded by. And
mm,
I'm just so just like I'm just very excited, Rosie, for this because you've just added the star to this whole thing of self-portrait with this enough project. Literally
yeah.
it's a big star added to it. And when you came up with this, and that's why I'm a yes, because I keep saying this, whatever came to me was not mine anyway.
Well, right.
Photography
Exactly.
chose me. I did whatever I did. Even during the time at the age of 18, I said I won't do fashion. I don't want to do fashion. I was all of 18, very young. I said I don't want to do fashion photography. And
Mm,
my teachers were from Australia and they had to fly in a baby photographer, and they said, take advertising, you're so much good. I said, I don't want to do advertising. I want to do baby photography. I want to
mm,
do children. At age of 18. So I had already I was reaching here. And then I dropped equipment. The first thing I dropped was equipment. Because equipment was scaring people, and I could sense it, like very sensitively figure it out all of 1920, that whenever I
no.
go to the shoot, it scares people. So drop equipment, learn natural light. And then natural light became my friend. And
Wow.
from that simplicity, and today when people who know my work are seeing these cards, did you shoot that? Because they see my work is a particular style. And I was like, no, they did it themselves. And how?
Yes,
Because,
nobody can believe that. No, anyone that I show is like, "Wow, the photographer was great." I'm like,
yeah.
"Yes, they were." That's each woman expressing themselves so amazing.
And
And
just
I
in
mean,
in a short span of 5 to 10 days, it just emerges.
it's yes, and you are the perfect guide for that because of your ability to hold the bar really high, but also like gently encourage, and then just kind of there are parts where you just threw us to the wind, and I'm like, oh my god, what does she mean this? And then finally get it and be like, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's a wow moment. Like every batch when it comes in, when it starts, maybe now no more, but when I used to start, I was like, I don't think so this batch will do it. It was the earlier batch that was amazing, and maybe they had this creativity, that's why they do it. And then engineers come in and other people come in, and it's just happening to everybody. And it's a little permission granted to explore. And it's also proving that no matter what profession we've chosen, creativity is our innermost
that's who we are.
expression. And we have come as humans to. And as I said, from 18 onwards, I kept on deleting things that were not needed. And it's become so simple now. Just come in into the 5-day photography workshop, and that's what you just need. Out of which 2.5 days we're just talking, essentially not. And then we kick in with our creativity in the last 2.5 days, and then it just zooms into a
Oh,
showcase.
beautiful.
And that's about it. And if people ask me, that's the only steps you need to do. But from day one, when I tell you to take a portrait, to by the time sixth, seventh, eighth day in, it's changed. And then uh, and yes, and now we're taking it to the men as well, and
Ah,
that's another journey.
yeah, that's a whole other, yes, we'll be back with that. But
Yeah.
this is an invitation for you, if you're really just ready to, and even if you're not ready, if you're not ready, you really are ready.
If you're not ready, definitely come in, definitely be here, talk to us.
Because this just really will, and we've seen it's changed the direction of even people's businesses, of people's lives. And it sounds like ridiculous, but it's like, okay, but it's magic. It really is just, it's miraculously magical.
Yes, yes, and I want to end this also with saying that it's our responsibility. It has
Mm,
come to that point that it's a responsibility to show up as enough, to say
mm,
this word enough, to keep feeding this project enough. And that's what we both are committed to, because it is enough that we have to see our next generation suffer with image issues.
yeah,
AI is going to hide it even more. I have nothing against AI. I have nothing against social media. I love social media. I met Rosie. I met people like Lucy. Everybody on social media. I love social media. But there's a responsibility that we all hold now, that when we are showing up, let's show up enough, confident, authentic.
and
And some
real.
other day, my story of showing that up has created a big movement from others and brought them to this country when odd things were happening. And that book has to be written someday. But it only happened because time has come. And our next generation has to see this is how you show up.
Yeah,
This is how you show up. And we have to protect them tremendously to, as Rosie said, bring them back to humanity. And it's time to tell them that this is what our original blueprint is. Keep the tech, do the progress, but don't forget that you're enough the way you are right now, and deal with that.
perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Shika.
Thank you, Rosie. Thank you for all the love that you also give to so many things, and I learn a lot from you as well. So thank you for coming in my life as well.
Thank you. Thank you.